Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Dobie Pasco, Leonard Pasco, but I've always written as Dobie because it's a nickname I picked up when I was first in the service. And my first send in any poems, I send them in as Dobie, so I've always written as Dobie. And they'll ask me to do something about how to write a poem, and I thought, I don't know if I even know how to write a poem. I would say more make a poem. I mean, I was thinking at first that poetry, I says, that's probably like the 300th least popular thing that people see. So we're going to do that. But then I thought, no, wait a minute. Poetry's everywhere, all around us. You know, it's in our music, it's in our speech, it's in our TV commercials, you know, our movies, and all our rites and rituals. And it's a way people respond to any kind of emotional thing, especially now with the virus going on around and people are stressed on that. And so it really makes up our life. And a lot of things, even like the Bible and the national anthem, I think a lot of the reasons why they're so popular and enduring is because they are forms of poetry. I was trying to think of what is really a definition of poetry, and I think it's just something that is only said in that one way. It's saying something that maybe we know about it, but it's said in a way that nobody has heard before, and using a strange combination maybe of letters, but also something that now a lot of poetry seems to be pretty complicated and difficult to understand, but I like things that you know, are very simple but are also very universal and everyone can understand, you know. So those are the kind of things, and the things that I think are so important also are sound and rhythm. The rhythm is so important, and that's why you remember things the way they sound, and they kind of sing and vibrate in a person's head. But so if a person has never tried to write anything, I would say you can't do that, because it is actually very easy. It's more like something that, you know, draws your attention or it's important to you. If you write it down and you use words that not just the common words that you hear every day, but you explaining it in some words that you think are different, and expressing yourself that way. And you don't really have to have a large vocabulary, just getting to the emotions, to what the real meaning, feeling of things are, maybe the feeling you are. And to cover everything from happiness and joy to sadness, just whatever, you know, it comes out, and then people will respond to it. And especially, I think, if you have something like that, you think, and a suggestion to me is, what I always do is that things run through your head, and to write them down, because a lot of times if you don't write them down, you say, what was that? I knew I was going to do something, you know. So I try to write them down. If you do want to start a poem, I think probably the first place is to probably maybe one of the biggest things is just your imagination, just getting in touch with your imagination, and maybe even writing down a few things that you didn't say to anyone but you were thinking about, and it could be about anything, usually something that is important to you. It's either, you know, it's so funny that you'd like to have other people hear it. Just write things down and try to make lines that are the same length, that have words that kind of flow together. Just when you, even just in yourself, use your own language. Use your own language, and it's best to write about something that you know about, something that's favorite of yours. You know, maybe you are a welder, and you could even talk about welding and how you do that, and you just put it in a way that, gee, somebody looks at it, boy, that's interesting, that's fun, you know, like that. And just in expressing your emotions in any way, and don't worry about it, because try a couple of them, and maybe the first few, maybe you think, oh, that is not much. But if you work at it a little bit, then you'll see from how one goes to the other. And especially if you write something, and then a lot of times, maybe a week or two later, come back and look at it and say, oh, I want to change this. This would sound better. You know, and those kind of things. But I say always kind of try to see how it sounds, if it has flowing words, and either for words that rhyme or that just that just are almost like a song, if you can do that. And so poetry can be found anywhere. It can be found in your feelings in that, but once in a while I've seen things that are even found poetry. I couldn't find it, but I had one. There was a sign just a couple blocks down here on 41. It talks about 4 or 5 different businesses, and this one talks about salon, exercise, health foods. And one long sign at the bottom is pizza. So it says that's a poem in itself, And you can find poems just in anywhere. Like there's a word, maybe even a word that a sports announcer said, something like that, and just pick that up, and you can use that in your poems. And I think I'm influenced by, popular music, especially of the 50s, of the 60s. Of TV commercials, of cartoons, the comics in the newspaper, things like that, as well as things around, especially here. I write a lot of poems about birds because you hear their sounds and there are so many things going on with them, and all you have to do is look at it and say, how do I want to write that down? Do I want to tell somebody about that? Just like kind of in a way, to me the best way to write is if you were going to tell somebody, a friend of yours, about something, you write it down, and hopefully it's something that everyone could relate to, whether it's a friend of yours or not, You don't even really have to think about writing something that just goes through your head. Like I said, write it down and then pick up from there. And what I was thinking that we could do more of is some people maybe that have trouble with stuttering, with a form of autism, anything like that, you can still write your things down, and maybe that's a way that you can communicate what you haven't been able to communicate before. So don't worry about it. In other words, look it over and just put it down. But like I said, the important things to me are saying something that hasn't been said in that way before, something that sounds good, that reaches, the emotions in one way or another, because poetry is kind of pretty much loaded with a lot of emotions and things like that. You can learn a lot in classes about the different kinds of poetry, haiku and sonnets and all the technicalities and that, which I did later on. But to me, it's more just getting in touch with your own feelings and expressing them in a way that people are going to connect with. I think that's probably the most important one. And it's called Tumbling Dice. Tumbling Dice. Sweet Six, Sister Hicks, a pair of trays, better than Snake Eyes or Little Joe from Kokomo. Roll them bones, craps. Next fool. Looking for heaven, roll me a 7 or an 11. Haven't seen dice like this since Larry Moe rolled in from Buffalo. Shake them bones. Baby needs a new pair of shoes, and Daddy needs to lay off the booze. 8, skate, donate. One thing that I'm proud of now, there's just this book that just came out from the Hillsborough County Libraries and Yellow Jacket Press. It's called Chasing Light, and it's based on the Burgert brothers' photographs, who were real famous photographers in the Tampa Bay area from about 1900 to 1930, something like that. So what they did was and a lot of places will do this, they'll say, here are these photographs or these paintings, we want people to write poems about those. And so I wrote one in there, and I was surprised when she said I was going to be in it. Gianna Rousseau, a good poet in Tampa, was the editor. And so when I got that, and they said, yeah, we're going to have yours, the first poem. It's always an honor to have the first poem in a book, and this was mine. And it's a picture of the Hillsborough River with, trees and the water and sands and that. So I just wrote this short poem. It's called If Someday. If someday you should find yourself under the soft trees with pieces of moonlight falling all around you, it may be that this has been your destination for longer than even the owls have known. Fear not to step on the golden sand, for you may find that which has been lost since you last cried as a child. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate that. Thank you.